What's going on there, guys? So I wanted to talk about this game, Silent Hill 2 Remake. I've never played Silent Hill or any Silent Hill game before, so Silent Hill 2 was a new experience for me, and I gotta say, Silent Hill 2, this game is a vibe. And Silent Hill 2 is a vibe. I say that just because it's just a very atmospheric game, and the audio design and just how characters interact and talk in the story is just like it's very I don't know. That's what really draws you into the overall experience, and and getting back to the audio, like you got to play this game with headphones. If you don't play this game with headphones, not as it's not the same experience, and this is a game you just get immersed into being in the town of Silent Hill, and it's a psychological thriller. It's not. I wouldn't say Silent Hill 2 is like when I'm playing it, I'm like absolutely terrified. It's not that sort of game, but it's just like the longer you play it, the heavier you feel just walking around Silent Hill 2, or walking around Silent Hill, I should say. And at its core, what the gameplay loop is, it's a survival horror game. Like Resident Evil. The Last of Us has survival horror elements. But The Last of Us, it's not really focused on the survival horror gameplay. Okay, it has survival horror gameplay sections in it, but that's not what the main draw of The Last of Us is. That's part of the draw, but this game is just it's completely survival horror. And getting back to Resident Evil, I played a few Resident Evils. I played Resident Evil 8. I played Resident Evil 2, and I thought they were both good games, but I never really felt completely sucked into those experiences. I don't know. It's just I don't look at either of those Resident Evils, which I know they're both regarded. A lot of Resident Evil games are regarded well. It wasn't clicking for me the way I would like it to. With Silent Hill 2, I would say this is the first survival horror game that it's fully I've been sucked into, and each time I play, I'm just I just feel fully immersed. So, just showing some early gameplay here. The main character's name is James, which I don't think I've ever played a video game where the main protagonist's name was the same name as me. I've definitely played games where there were characters with my name in it, but a lot of the gameplay loop of Silent Hill 2 is just walking around, exploring these environments, attacking certain creepy creatures, like these weird leg-like creatures that have legs on as their arms, and they're just and they don't have heads. I don't even know what you call them. And then you have I don't know, you just have all these weird creepy enemies that you constantly run into, and there's different strategies on how to attack them in combat. Let me see if I can fast forward here a little. But the combat, I've heard that in the original Silent Hill 2, combat was not very impressive back on the PlayStation 2. But the combat in Silent Hill 2 Remake, I think, is serviceable. I actually quite enjoy the melee, and just getting back to The Last of Us, which I always have to reference The Last of Us in any of my videos. It does have that punchy, satisfying feel when you get a one of those creepy creatures on the ground, and you pretty much bash their brains in. But just trying to see if I can maybe show you some combat here. Just a lot of walking around, especially early in the game. And then, during the course of the game, you're gonna get 3 weapons, which it's the pistol, the rifle, the shotgun, and all of them have different use case scenarios. And I would say just, it's the combat is serviceable. It feels pretty grounded, like, similar to The Last of Us or a Resident Evil experience. And I don't know. I don't feel like combat's a hindrance in this game, and I usually enjoy the encounters. It's not. I don't. Some like I played some like old third-person shooters or old survival horror games that the combat is, you kind of just dread doing the combat, and you rather not engage with the combat. I remember I played the original Resident Evil. I believe it was actually the remake, or not remake, but I played Resident Evil 1 back on the PS4, whatever version of Resident Evil 1 that was. And I remember the shooting was so awkward. Like you would have these fixed camera angles, and you would literally, you would aim your weapon on this when you're in a fixed camera angle, and you would have to, I believe you had to use the left analog stick to move your arms. It was was that called tank controls? That might have been tank controls, which is a old school combat control system. But yeah, I think Silent Hill 2's combat, it does the job. It's not. I don't think it's anything, special. I definitely enjoy the combat of The Last of Us Part 2 more, but that's, again, The Last of Us Part 2 is a different vibe, a different experience. But, I mean, you definitely get Last of Us vibes at certain points in this game, which or maybe I shouldn't say vibes, but maybe gameplay mechanics that remind you of The Last of Us, like the constant scavenging, opening up drawers and getting health stuff, health potions, syringes, or finding puzzle pieces or reading documents. And it's kind of funny. A lot of times I've accidentally pressed triangle, which in this game, to search in a drawer, you have to press X, because triangle is the button you press in The Last of Us to search drawers. And of course, when you press triangle, that uses one of your health items. So I've done that a few times. What the hell was that? But there is an option in the I think accessibility settings to make it so when you open up a drawer, it shows X. So I added that option so I don't forget. But early on, that was kind of a minor problem for me. But that's more of a me problem. That wasn't a game problem. And I just want to touch on the puzzles, because there is a good number of puzzles in this game, which I'm usually not the biggest puzzle guy, but the puzzles in this game for the most part are satisfying. I don't usually get too overly frustrated with them. There's been maybe 1 or 2 puzzles where I had to go on YouTube and just look at a guide on how to solve it. But for the most part, most of the puzzles I've figured out on my own, which I like. I get really annoyed when games have these puzzles that are so complex and not straightforward at all. And you have to go on a, like, if I have to be sucked out of an immersive experience and look at my phone, it's like that really turns me off. But luckily that hasn't happened too much. And I should say, at this point I haven't got by Silent Hill 2. I'm approximately 75% through it at this point, but I wanted to make this video today just because I was kind of just anxious to talk about Silent Hill 2. And being 75% through it, I think that's enough playtime to really get a good grip of how I feel about this game as a whole. Like, I don't think this game is gonna do too much to really differ my opinion before I finish it. And I would say my overall opinion on Silent Hill 2 is it's actually gonna be up there now with one of my favorite PS5 games. I mean, it's a very, like, nothing about this game is like overly complex in terms of, I would say, gameplay design. Like, presentation wise, I think it looks good. I think I like the art style of the game, and I don't think it's the best looking game ever, and it runs at a fairly decent frame rate. Keep in mind I'm on base PS5. I know the PS5 Pro just came out, but I think the performance is solid. I think it looks pretty cool. And performance wise, the camera does like stutter from time to time when you're walking in a doorway. It'll like shake, which is kind of weird. But it's not game breaking for me, like where it'll happen a few times during each play session, but it doesn't really bother me that much. At first, when it started happening, I thought it was like some camera shake effect that the developers wanted. Like, some games have like this camera shake, but then I started to realize, I was like, no, the camera shouldn't be shaking like that. And I also dig the soundtrack in this game. It's very it really does add to the atmosphere, and it's definitely a soundtrack that makes you feel more on edge. And that's the thing about this game. You just constantly, you feel on edge, but the game is never like super scary where it's like, oh my god, jump scares everywhere. And like, a lot of times I'm just like, I'm feeling tense playing the game, but I'm not like freaking out. Like, and I'm not usually someone to freak out when I'm playing a horror game. Whoa! It's terrifying on so many levels. Whoa! I actually think sometimes this game can be oddly relaxing, but that's in certain parts of the game, I would say. And this is showing some of the combat here, and I gotta say, I like how in this game, unlike The Last of Us, you have a melee weapon that you keep forever. I mean, once you get the melee weapon, it doesn't break. So I like that, and I know this isn't my best gameplay right here, but this was pretty early on. Early on, I felt like I was dodging way too much. I think I was like overly dodging. I was still trying to get a feel for the melee. And these guys are so annoying because they're just like, they don't have arms, and they just like throw up on you. And then when they're on the ground, if their head is facing up, they'll vomit on you, and just like, ugh. I don't know what you call these creatures. I don't know. I just describe them and their weird physical appearance. But, and then you can go to cars and just smash windows and get supplies, which, you can do that in other games too, but I do enjoy just looking through cars, because there's a lot of empty cars that you have to like walk through in Silent Hill on the streets, and you can see if, you know, there's additional health items, ammo. Trying to think if I have anything else to say, but Silent Hill 2 I'm enjoying very much, and I know I said maybe I don't sound super enthusiastic, but maybe that's because it's 6:46 a.m. on a Sunday. But I really do enjoy Silent Hill 2, and I would recommend it. And I maybe at some point I will go back to PlayStation 2 and I haven't played Silent Hill 2 the original before, but I will look on eBay, which I know Silent Hill 2 PS2 physical edition is quite expensive on eBay right now. So maybe, I don't know, maybe at some point I may go back to play the original, maybe not. Maybe I'll watch a playthrough of the original. But yeah, I think Silent Hill 2, in terms of games that have come out this year, is definitely one of my favorite games, and it's definitely one of my favorite games on PlayStation 5 now. So yeah, I would definitely recommend Silent Hill 2, and if you like the original, I'm sure you'll like this. And I do wonder, if I had played the original before this, if I would be enjoying this experience even more. But for, you know, experience that I've had with this being my first Silent Hill, I definitely recommend it. And at this point, I think I'm going to wrap this video up, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave it a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe. I will see you in the next video.